What's up, people? Game consoles today. Let's talk about game consoles. At the end of this year, we're going to see a massive change in the industry with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. And listen, you can't really judge the consoles. Right now, everyone's talking about power, this speed, this GPU, this CPU. The facts that they are very different and yet similar, if that makes sense. In terms of chipsets, most of the chipsets are very similar. But the Xbox, with its 3.8 gigahertz GPU, is faster than Sony's 3.5 GPU, and that's at 8 threads. Obviously 16 threads, which you really wouldn't need to on many games. The Xbox is still faster at 3.6. But what you have is a total disparity in the GPU. The PlayStation is said to have a GPU clock speed of 2.33 gigahertz, yeah? But the difference is that it's variable. And developers are saying that that is only the top check, which is boosted mode, which is not all the same. So you could be going as low as 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 in terms of GPU speed. But the biggest difference is the compute unit. When you look at the Xbox Series X, it has 54 compute units, which is a hell of a lot. And it's a 1.8 GPU. And that's locked, that's fixed. So you're getting that speed all of the time. So the Xbox GPU and CPU is miles ahead. The hard drive is where things differ, because the 5.5 gig hard drive speed and the SSD in the PlayStation is twice as fast as the Xbox. So that gives it an edge. However, the storage in the PS5 is only 825 gig. It's not even 1 terabyte. Can you imagine? Everyone's out there with Xbox One X's, Xbox Ones, PlayStation 4s, PlayStation 4 Pro with a 1 terabyte drive. And Sony are launching a next generation machine with a lower capacity hard drive than the last generation. Microsoft have gone for 1 terabyte, but there's two differences between the two companies there. Sony will allow you to swap out a hard drive at a similar spec. So you can take out that 825 gig and you can drop in a 1 terabyte or 1.5 terabyte or whatever. That's slightly different with Microsoft. Microsoft has the 1 terabyte SSD, and it will allow you to have another 1 terabyte or another 2 terabyte. Yeah, they're going to be making these add-on cards, add-on memory cards. So the word add-on means that you'll be able to double up your memory. So in essence, you buy a 1 terabit memory card and you can plug it into Xbox and it will be a 2 terabit. You buy a 2 terabit memory card, you plug it in, you'll have a 3 terabit card. So it's a little bit more easier to do it that way than to rip out your Sony one and change it for something that isn't going to be added. Do you see where I'm coming from? SSDs are very expensive, guys. How much is it going to cost you to buy a 2 terabit SSD card? A lot of money. We can talk about power and we can talk about ray tracing and we can talk about all those different things. But the one thing that people are missing is this. Where Microsoft has been leading Sony over the last few years, yes, I know the Xbox Scorpio One X is way more powerful. But it's the services. The services is where Sony have been lacking for years. The cloud services with Sony are horribly lacking. Their PlayStation Now only shows games at 720p. And the library is limited. We're talking about the hundreds. And this is the reason why with the new consoles, the backward compatibility with the PlayStation 5 is only at 100 titles. With the Xbox, you're talking about nearly 4,000 titles. If you include the OG and all of the Xbox 360 games, there's no comparison. And then you're talking about cloud gaming. That's another thing that Sony just can't compete with because they don't have the services. Two more things from Microsoft here. Remember, this has got nothing to do with hardware or anything like that. This is to do with software. And this is where Sony simply cannot compete on that level. And don't get me wrong, listen, the PlayStation has got fantastic loyal customers. They got great first party games, amazing platform titles. Although then they don't have the same online multiplayer titles as Xbox does in terms of the Halo, Gears of War, Forza. Those titles are dominating online play. But here's where things differ in Microsoft's favor. Hardware is going to be comparable, although Microsoft clearly has the edge. But it's the software. And I'm not talking about the games that you buy. I'm talking about services. So listen, number one, Microsoft has been using DirectX, which is a industry-leading API. And DirectX 12 was just shown last week. And it's been blowing the pants off developers. So can you imagine with all that power, it's not just the power, because we're hearing so many things like Sony's SSD drive is going to bottleneck and Sony and it doesn't work well with the API and you need a good infrastructure software to get the best out of your hardware. In the same way that Apple does. As low powered as Apple phones are, their iPhones work well with their software. Yeah, and that's the reason why that synergy creates the speed and production as it does on their phones and tablets and their Mac Pros as well. But this is what Microsoft has now. DirectX. You've got the best API on the market with the most powerful console on the market. That put together, we're hearing from developers, is giving them blazing speeds and huge amount of upside with the hardware. So DirectX is number one. Number two, you've got Xbox Game Pass, a Netflix style system where you pay $7.99 a month, and now Game Pass Ultimate, which gives you £10 a month. And in that amount, you get your games, 200 games, you get your Xbox Live subscription, and you get access to first party games. So when the top titles like Gears of War, Sea of Thieves, Forza, Halo, when all that stuff drops, it's included in the package. So you don't have to go out there and buy 50, 60 pound games because it's all included in the package. So if we figure that out, it's £10 a month. If you buy 2 titles, that's already covered the cost of your Game Pass Ultimate. So no more paying for Game Pass itself, no more paying for Xbox Live, which is a 40, 50 pound charge per year. All of that is included. And listen, you can't look at it any way better than that. A Netflix styled game. Number 3, xCloud. Everybody knows that the idea between xCloud was so good that Google started to think that they could move in and muscle in on that territory. And what they did is created Google Stadia. And Google Stadia tried its hardest to try and combat the problems of low latency, which kills those type of systems. You know, when you're playing games that are set up on a hub, everything in terms of milliseconds, controller input speed, everything really depends on your latency speed. And they launched last November and failed horribly. They're not even selling anymore, but people who already bought one are giving them back. But Microsoft's xCloud demonstrations that were done with Digital Foundry have shown that they are absolutely hitting it out the ballpark. So when that system launches, when that console launches, not only will you be able to have your Netflix-styled game library, yeah, which you're paying for, not only will you be able to have the most powerful console in the world with the best API development tools, but you'll also have the ability to press one button and play the games on your mobile phone, on your tablet, or on your PC. Now, you can see now where this is all going. If you're talking about 2 systems comparatively, it's not even close. There are far more services on a console that has the best GPU and the best CPU. And this is the reason why Xbox is going to do well this year. And look, I'm not saying that Sony's not going to do well. Of course it's going to do well. Yeah. While the Nintendo Wii won its generation, the Xbox 360 beat out the PS3, but the PS4 beat out the Xbox One. It's pigs and troughs. Sometimes people get it right, sometimes people get it wrong. So there's no such thing as this is better than the other. I've owned all the consoles. I've owned all the Nintendo consoles, all the Sony consoles, and all the Xbox consoles. Because for me, I don't want to have the ability to lose out on any software. If Spider-Man comes out, or Horizon Dawn, or God of War on the PS4, I don't want to lose out on it. If Halo comes out, and Gears of War, and Forza's the best racing game right now. It's overtaken Gran Turismo. If those games come out, I don't want to lose out on it. So I tend to have all the consoles so I can give myself the ability to actually play what games I want. But this is more than that. This is a lot more than that, because ever since I bought an Xbox Scorpio, the Xbox One X, all the third-party games, yeah, from Ubisoft, from Valve, from Electronic Arts, all of those games, ID Software, all of those games I bought on the most powerful console in the world, which is the Xbox One X. And this is the reason why we're going to see a divide in software, because third-party games, Destiny 2, Call of Duty, FIFA, Madden, WWE, GTA, all those third-party games, which is what drives the market, the best versions of those games are not going to be on PlayStation. Just like what's happened in the last 3 years. Since 2017, the best version of every game, which is tested by Digital Foundry, check out their website, has had the best version on Xbox One X because they have the most powerful console. And then PC gamers always try to jump into the mix. Yeah, we wanna be a factor in the conversation. Bro, you ain't no factor in no conversation. You're not the factor. You know, the RDX chips that are in the GPUs, that's how far advanced these consoles are. Yeah? PC gamers always try to become part of the equation because they have the ability to max out their graphics. But it's never works like that. And I've been a PC gamer for decades. And I don't acknowledge them at all in this equation. Because consoles are different. Always have been, always will be. Consoles were built up in a different history and generation than PC games. Because with a console, we went through the 8-bit era, the 16-bit era, the 32-bit era, the 64-bit era. And those were the ways how you measured the power terms in consoles. And now those power terms is measured in teraflops. That's why we got the PS4 Pro at 4.2 teraflops. And what happened is Microsoft went over to developers and said, what do we need to hit 4K 60? And developers said, you need a console that does 6 teraflops. So what did they do? They built a console that does 6 teraflops. Nobody believed them. Microsoft said, here we are, world's most powerful console, 4K 60. Sony was like, nah, that ain't true. Telling everybody it's fake news. So a lot of the gamers thought it was fake news. Then developers thought it's fake news until they got the system in the hands of Digital Foundry and IGN. And that is when they found out that Halo 5 was running at 4K 60 frames. And it's funny because this is how advanced these consoles are right now. The GPU in the PlayStation 5 is 10.3 teraflops, and that's boosted, guys. So it's actually around 9.2 teraflops. But the boosted mode, which is where the GPU is running at its highest clock speed, remember, it's variable. It's not, unlike the Xbox, which is a fixed, 1.8, the GPU speed in the PlayStation 5 is variable, which means it's not guaranteed. It's a boosted mode. And if you run that boosted mode for too long, you know what happens when you're overclocking GPUs. Yeah, it's not safe. So it's a variable speed. And what happens is, When you're running at that clock speed, a lot of things can happen. With a PC, you don't have the ability to do that. Because, as I said, the new consoles are running at RDX. They're running new AMD RDXs, which ain't even out on the PC. And with a PC, you've always quantified it in a different way. Because let's do the breakdown, yeah? When the Xbox One X came out and was hitting 6 teraflops, PC users were like, yeah, our graphics are better, our graphics are better. We have better shading, better lighting, better ray tracing, because it wasn't really available on the last generation consoles. But what you forget, PC users, is how many of you are gaming in 4K? How many of you are gaming on a screen that is 55, 65 inches? Not many of you, because only 3% of PC users were using cards that gave them the ability to hit 4K. Remember, to buy a GeForce 1080 Ti or even the new 2080 Gi, yeah, that is more expensive than the whole cost of an Xbox Scorpio. So you weren't even hitting those numbers. And the Xbox was. Even though, as I said, the PC has better lighting, better shading, yeah? Because PC users, if you look at the amount of PC gamers running resolution, the most resolutions they run, 50% of gamers on a PC are running 1440p. Yeah, 30% of PC gamers use a Steam machine, and they are only locked at 1080p. And this is the reason why PC graphics are so good, because you're not essentially going for resolution. You're going for a mid-term resolution, but you're going for high settings. So you have low settings, medium, high, and ultra. So a lot of PC gamers play their games in ultra settings, which is 60 frames, high lighting, high shading, ray tracing, all the different effects. And that's why Digital Foundry was showing all of these games like Star Wars and Destiny and all these other things where the PC graphics look better because their effects were better. Not so much that they were sharper or whatever, it's just that the effects were better. And let's remember, these consoles have just come into the 4K fray, yeah? But where we have it now is, these consoles now have caught up with the GPUs. So expect to see better lighting, we expect to see better effects on all of those machines. For you to build a PC right now that will give you the power of an Xbox Series X, you're talking about $1,700. So you're not even in the equation. Because that's like somebody buying an AMG Mercedes V12 and saying, yeah, my car can do 180 miles an hour. And I only paid 100 grand for it. And then somebody pulls up alongside you and says, bro, you know what? I can do 220 miles an hour. And he's driving a Ferrari or Lamborghini. You're looking over to that brother and you're like, bro, I'd spent 100 grand on my car. You've spent 5 times more on your car. So wouldn't you expect it to do what my car can do and more? Because you've paid 5 times more for it. In essence, that's what it's like with PC gaming. You're building a rig which is costing you 3 times more than it would cost to buy an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5. So you're not even in the equation, bro. Go and spend your money on your PC graphics card. Go and spend your money on your motherboard and everything you need to in order to make yourself feel better and hit the numbers that we're hitting. Because, like I said, that GeForce 1080 Ti card is costing you $700 minimum. So overall, guys, all I want to say is the consoles that are coming out, no matter what platform that you decide to play on, the PlayStation 5 is going to be an amazing console. It's going to hit 4K, it's going to hit 60 frames, it's going to have a tremendous fast high-speed hard drive, and it's going to have VR capabilities, which isn't really, it's never caught on. Less than 3% of PlayStation owners own VR. It's never been big on any console. It's never been big with the Samsung Gear on mobile phones. It's never been big with tablets, it's never been big with anything. But the fact is, you still have the option to use VR if you want to. Xbox is going to do well because it's going to have 17 new first party houses. That's loads of new. That was their main weakness in the last generation. They didn't have as much first party games as Sony did. And they fixed that by going out and buying all of those software houses. So they're going to have games. They're going to have the most powerful console. They're going to have the best API development tools. They're going to have the best games library in terms of the Netflix system. They're going to have cloud gaming with xCloud, meaning you can play your game on the go. You can play it like a Nintendo Switch on your tablet or phone when you're outside the house. You're going to have all those capabilities on Xbox. And it's just going to be a great generation for everybody. So really, that's me summing up what's going on with the new consoles. Yeah? Hold tight, everybody. And I'll speak to you soon. Lock it down. #stay at home. Peace out.